The boat didn't tip all at once. It groaned. Somewhere deep inside the hull, a low sound echoed like the yawning mouth of the sea. At first, no one paid it much attention. The students aboard were busy texting friends, taking selfies, and laughing about the upcoming trip. Spring had arrived. This was meant to be a vacation, but the ship tilted again. Coffee cups slid across cafeteria tables, backpacks rolled down the halls. A few voices started to ask questions. A few phones began to record. One boy messaged his mother, "Mom, I think the ship's turning too far." At 8:49 a.m., the Sewol Ferry leaned into the sea and didn't come back. The vessel carried 476 people that morning, mostly high school students from Danwon High on a field trip to Jeju Island. It had left the port the night before, calm seas, quiet skies. But beneath the surface, the ship was overloaded with cargo, stacked illegally and poorly secured. It had also been modified, decks added, balance disrupted, regulations ignored, and now it was dying. As the angle grew sharper, panic spread. Students clung to walls, teachers shouted instructions. But then came the voice, calm, official, loud over the intercom. "Stay where you are. Do not move. It's safer if you stay inside your rooms." They listened. That was the moment. That's when survival began to split down the middle. Those who fled, those who disobeyed, would make it to the deck. They would feel the wind. They would see the helicopters. They would be pulled, wet and shivering, into boats. Those who trusted the voice would never come back up. In the dark cabins, the water came slowly at first, licking at the carpets and crawling up the walls. Students filmed the moment with trembling hands, whispering, "Is this real?" Some of them were joking. Some were crying. One girl prayed. None of them knew they'd been abandoned. The crew had already begun to escape. The captain, Lee Jun-seok, was among the first to flee, climbing into rescue boats while still wearing his underwear. As he floated away, the ship behind him twisted, buckled, and started to vanish beneath the waves. Parents received final texts. "Mom, I love you." "Dad, I'm sorry. Please don't be mad. I'm scared." Outside, dozens of rescue vessels circled the site, but the Coast Guard made no attempt to board the vessel. Divers were told to wait. Helicopters hovered, cameras rolled, but no one went in. The seawall took 2 hours to fully sink. 2 hours? That's how long they had. That's how long the children stayed in their cabins, waiting for the rescue that never came. Their faith in the system, their teachers, their government, the calm voice over the speakers held them in place as the ocean rose. One student held his friend's hand and whispered, "If we die, let's die together." In the end, 304 people died. Most of them were teenagers. Only 172 people survived. In the days that followed, grief took over the country. Families camped out near the harbor, clutching photos and waiting for bodies. Mothers screamed at officials. Fathers collapsed at the water's edge. The government's failure became undeniable. Delayed rescue efforts, false reports, lies, the president's absence, and behind it all, corruption, bribes, illegal modifications, an entire chain of neglect that had built a floating coffin and called it safe. Divers recovered cell phones from the wreckage. Inside were videos that no parent should ever have to see. Shaking voices, murmured prayers, a dark, slanted world slowly filling with seawater. One boy filmed until the end, his final words, "I love you all." The captain was arrested. So were several crew members. Trials followed, protests. Yellow ribbons lined the streets of Seoul. The prime minister resigned. The president, eventually, was impeached. But none of it could bring the students back. The wreck of the Sewol was raised years later, barnacled, twisted, hollow. What was left inside no longer resembled the laughter or music that once filled its corridors, only rust and silence. The school gym where the parents had waited became a shrine, rows of empty desks, photographs with yellow flowers, messages scrawled in trembling handwriting. I miss you every day, and the voice still echoes. Stay where you are. Don't move. Obey. The ocean doesn't care who listens. Thank you for listening to the Sunken Ledger. Subscribe for more lost stories from the deep.